If I can get the door shut from the wind. Autumn is here. The blustery autumn days that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. Welcome to episode 25 of the Healing Hut. After a 6-month hiatus, I am back. I've had a very busy summer, like I'm sure you've had. We've had over 40 guests, some staying for a couple of days, some staying for week or more. And it's just been so incredibly busy that when I work on a cottage, I have maybe an hour. I run up and do some work, run back and visit with my wonderful friends that have come to visit and family. And if you've ever done video editing and making, it's a time-consuming project, so I just haven't had time to make any videos. I've made some video footage, but I haven't had time to edit them. So here I'm back. I'll take you back to the summer. I'll try to make this short. I've got probably hours of video, but I'll cut it down to just a few minutes. There's been some changes in my cancer. I'll talk about two, and the plans I have going ahead this winter. I've got some projects I have not finished yet on the outside. I'm trying to get done before the end of October, because then it gets so cold and wet that I just can't work outside very well. Thanks so much for coming along. It means a lot to me. I noticed that my subscribers has increased quite a bit over the summer, and I'm not sure why, because I wasn't posting new videos, but thanks for being here. Well, I woke up to a glorious Saturday morning. I had so much planned to do today for the cottage. However, I've run into some problems again. One of the problems is I'm going to try to spray foam up in these cracks, or at least I was today, and I brought these tanks of foam mixture up from the house, and they weigh, I bet they weigh 60, 70 pounds each. And I have really bad rotator cuff tears on both shoulders that can't be operated on because they're so bad. And I thought, oh, it might be good for my arms to carry those up, you know, like working with weights. Well, I woke up this morning with extreme pain in my right shoulder if I move it a certain way. So that's going to set me back for all the things I want to do today. The second thing that happened was I had meticulously measured for studs inside the wall and marked them. It's what these white lines are, because you need to know where the studs are to put on your stone weep barrier and lath. It has to be put into studs. Now, for some reason, above the doors, I either forgot or my little marks washed off, but they're nowhere to be found. And the trouble is, you can't use a stud finder on this wall because it's 5/8 plywood underneath 2 layers of tar paper. It just doesn't work. So I brought out my trusty metal detector, and I think it's going to work, because the plywood where there's studs, there's nails. A nail about every 6 inches. So I'm going to turn this on. I hope this, see, I'll do to a staple. See, you can hear it, but there's no staples in here. Whoops. Okay, right there, I found a nail. Yep, found a nail. There should be another one up here somewhere in the plywood. That doesn't make sense. Let's go this way. That's a staple. So I got a fisher. There we go. That's clearly a nail in the plywood. And you only have nails in the plywood where there's a stud. So I have to fool around and mark these things. Yep, that's definitely a stud there. So I'm glad that's going to work. It's going to take a lot of time, though, to figure that out. But that's the way it goes. I've had so many setbacks. So maybe I can get this foam gun working and get some foam sprayed up in this crack up in there. Well, today it's going to be sunny and for the next few days, and I'm going to put oil down on my deck. I did finish my foam yesterday. No explosions, nothing bad happened. I know it looks messy. I'll have to come back and make sure it's hard and cured, and I'll saw it out. This is a glorious day. My favorite thing to do of everything is stonework. And today I'm beginning my stonework. I'll be doing this most of the summer. I know it looks messy now. It'll look better when it's done. Stonework is something I've done in the past. I've done 2 houses in stonework. And I'm still an amateur, but at least I know I've enough experience to know what I'm doing compared to electrical, plumbing, all those other things. The only mistake I made this morning was I checked the temperature outside and it's like 62, so I came here to start working. And on this deck, it's 85 degrees because we're in the direct sunlight. And I have to learn now. I can't work out here until afternoon when the sun's over the cottage. But anyway, I'm excited to be in this part. It is now July 10th, the last day I will be in my 60s, so it's a big day. I'm going to show you where I'm at. The front of the cottage is stoned. That means a lot of different things to different people. It is stoned, except for the chimney. And the chimney I will have to finish when I get scaffolding outside. My scaffolding is inside. And what I'm trying to hurry up and do is I'm eating my macaroni and cheese, my favorite food, being from Tennessee. And being my birthday, I'm going to start treating myself. I have started stuccoing at the very peak, which was the most dangerous. Tomorrow, I will hopefully get a lot of the pink area done. That pink is called liquid lath. It helps cement stucco to stick to drywall. Today, I started working on my bathroom. You won't be able to tell anything, but I'm cleaning it. And it still looks really dirty, but I'm starting to clean it and getting it ready to put in the sink and mirror. The loft is officially done, except for the ceiling. I'll be doing the ceiling later. And I have to build the stairs. Again, these are temporary ladder. I need to mop at least one more time. All the stuccoing is done. The light is in. I built this matching railings. This one came off the house's porch. So I matched the colors. I took a little piece of that and took it to the hardware store and built this yesterday I built this. Because I have grandkids coming out, and this was a dangerous drop-off, and they'd be out here playing, and I'd go pew, and break, I always say, don't fall and break your crown. Anyway, let's go back down. So that's about where I'm at. As soon as I get all that stuccoing done up high, I'll get the scaffolding back outside and return to working on stonework for the rest of the summer. And I do need to get this bathroom functional with a shower downstairs by August, because we have a lot of guests coming out. And Denise and I will be living in here. Tomorrow I may go ahead, now that they got the electrical done, I may unwrap this refrigerator and put it in place. Now, I've told you before, the county guy says the stove cannot be in here during our final inspection, so we won't be able to do that. I have to put the stove outside. It's a crazy world. You can have a dishwasher. Sorry, I got to take a bite. I'm really hungry. Really good. Oh, so good. I'm in a gourmet macaroni and cheese. Because my wife doesn't like macaroni and cheese. I put little truffles in it, which I like. She doesn't like truffles. Sorry. I forgot what I was saying. Let me just end with this thought in this video clip. It is a beautiful day. But I've decided to have a celebration about turning 70, which I do tomorrow, because when I was first diagnosed with multiple myeloma, I was really sick. I mean, I was so sick. I could smell the dirt of the grave. I mean, I'd look at my hands and thinking that in a few weeks, my body will start to decay because I'll be buried, because it looked like I wasn't going to make it. Or if I did make it after failing a bone marrow transplant, it looked like, within months. And then things turned around after I got as I said before, monoclonal antibody, which has really made a huge difference, and I've been in remission. But I went to see my cancer doctor, not this week, but last week. Haven't seen her in a year and a half. I see a local oncologist, and my numbers have been so good. There's no detectable cancer in my blood test that she ordered a PET scan and a bone marrow, which I hate. And if they don't detect any cancer cells, I can come off chemo for the first time in 6 years. Now, I'm not going to get my hopes up too high, because there's nothing worse than having your hopes crash, which has happened so many times for me and for anyone I know that's going through something like this. But that would just be wonderful. She's already let me stop my most toxic drug, at least until we get these test results back. And I'm starting to feel better already from being off this one called lenalidomide. I don't want to talk about philosophical things too much. I don't want to, for people to misunderstand me. I do some blogging about philosophical things, and sometimes people get angry at me. Religious people get angry at me a lot, and it's because they misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm a theist. I believe in God, a personal God. I even believe that Jesus of Galilee was the Messiah. And, that should sew everything up. But I'm not a religious person, and I don't care for religion much anymore. But you have to know what I mean by that. I lost my best friend talking about how I didn't like religion, and he interpreted that meaning I hate God. But my point I was going to make, when I talk about, being in the throes of death, and then a monoclonal antibody turned my life around and saved me. People said, "You mean it's a miracle? God saved you?" No, it's because I'm honest. It was not a miracle. But God doesn't get mad at that. God created nature. Nature wasn't created by the devil, and therefore scientists aren't of the devil. They're doing God's work when they're fighting cancer. I am so elated, in my gratitude is towards God and towards nature and towards all the scientists. Like, I have some kids who are in research, and even including research in cancer. And all these people who've given their lives to try and find cures. I am so grateful to them. And it's no affront to God that I say that. But to call it a miracle is just dishonest. A miracle is something that violates all the rules of nature. And there's this thing in religion, it's got to be a miracle or it's not worth anything. Oh, no, that's just crazy. I follow, and I'm going to get into a tangent, but one of my favorite people is Albert Einstein, not only being so brilliant, but he was, if you read his biographies and the letters that he wrote, he was a lover of peace. He wanted every country in the world to give up all its arms, including nuclear weapons, everything. Because he said as long as they have weapons, they're going to go to war. So he's a pacifist and a peacemaker. And people question, they call him an atheist. I'm not so sure. But one thing he said, which is absolutely true, you live your life as if everything is a miracle or nothing's a miracle. And what he means by that, I know exactly what he means. Either nature came out of nothing for no reason without any involvement with a personal God. Therefore, you have to live your life in that state as if nothing's a miracle, everything's by natural laws. But if you believe that God created everything that we see out of nothing, that then is a miracle. And everything he created is a miracle. Not just super duper stuff that violates all the rules of nature. Actually, the rules of nature are from God. So anyway, what I was trying to say is I am deeply grateful that I'm still alive, and I'm turning 70 tomorrow. I didn't think I'd be very depressed turning 70 because I always feel like I'm 20. But I'm going to celebrate turning 70 because I'm not supposed to be turning 70. I didn't think my brother who did die, I think he died at age 72, but we talked every day before he died. And I said, well, Gary, at least you get to make it to 70. I'll never make it to 70, but unless a meteorite hits me tomorrow I will be 70. Thanks again for coming along. And I'll probably do one more little clip of where I'm at when I get back my scaffolding outside and start working on chimney and finish up this episode. But I really find no trace of cancer. And it sounds like a cure, but multiple myeloma is not curable, and it always comes back. Until just recently, there's been some cases that they followed without any treatment for 20 years, and it never came back. So maybe there is a cure. So my dream would have had no evidence of cancer whatsoever. I got close. They found 8 cancer cells per 1 million cells of my bone marrow. I wish it had been 0. But that's in contrast to where I started. When I started, I had about 14% of my bone marrow was cancer. Now it's percentage-wise, it's 0.008. Is that right? Or 0.0008%. So very, very tiny amount. So I can be encouraged by that, but I wish I had met the criteria for minimal residual disease, which would have been exciting. And then with all the company we had this summer, the very first time I had COVID, I've avoided COVID for 5 years because I simply follow the guidelines of the virologist, not the talk show host on TV, not what they say on Fox News and all that's garbage, but the scientists who really know what they're talking about. And by following those guidelines, I've been able to avoid COVID. But with 41 people staying in our house this summer, it became impossible. Good news was, I think if I'd had COVID 3 years ago, it would kill me. All the evidence, my shape I was in, that it would have been terminal. But the good news is, I had 2 days of sniffles and a headache, and it was gone. And then since then, now I've developed a summer cold. But I was in the hospital all day yesterday doing called IVIG infusions, and we're doing that now at least once a month to try to build up my immune system. The problem with multiple myeloma, if you don't know, it's a cancer of the immune system. So your immune system is always in trouble. And most patients who die from multiple myeloma die from overwhelming infection. So anyway, that's about that. So anyway, I'll do some film shots as I start working on this stonework here. I'll start with my biggest stones at the bottom. What I did yesterday, I have a big angle iron built into the foundation at the bottom. And then yesterday I put a row of mortar on that to support my coming stones I'm going to be doing today. Well, I just finished next to my last stone work. I got that one little square left. I can do that in two days. I just got finished putting up my blue wick, rain wick. It's called, this blue stuff. It's like carpet plastic. It pulls some moisture from behind the stone, and then it supposedly brings it down the wall and then out some vents. And then on top of that is my lath that anchors the stone into the building. I put 1 3/4 inch galvanized staples every 3 inches in the studs, and then additional 1 inch staples in between the studs to help hold it flat. So this is as high as I'm going to go here, and above this is going to be this red wood that I've used so much on the cottage. It comes from a 100-year-old barn that was torn down over on the mainland. And I decided to do that in a triangle because it would be very, very hard to lay stone up there from a ladder and be very dangerous. And the second issue, the county guy was a little bit worried about the weight of the stone, although I'm following the engineering. So I decided to end it there and put wood. I think it'll look good. Also mounted the stone into the foundation by putting in, what was it? I think it was 3/8 angle iron bolted with 5 3/8 bolts. No, not 3/8. 5/8 bolts into the foundation for support. I really appreciate coming along. This has been a little bit longer video than I meant, but next time it'll be shorter. But it's been 6 months, so I thought we had a lot of catching up to do. So when I finish the stonework here, I might spend the time doing this outside work if the weather doesn't get bad, including under the eaves, putting wood, putting the wood I just described here. I have around that post in the middle is a pulley and a rope that's going to give it more of that feel of a barn. I hope to get that on. And then I'll move inside, and I got stucco to do inside. I got to finish the bathroom, and then I got to work on the ceiling. And then towards the end of winter, like March, I'm going to start working on a fireplace inside. That should be a lot of work on that. But again, thanks so much for coming.